Dr. Matthew Anthony Harper, blessed to be with Dan Pollak of Zionist Organization of America here in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Dan, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
It's important for people to know a little bit about ZOA. So summarize what ZOA is.
The Zionist Organization of America. We go back to 1897. We're the oldest pro-Israel group in the U.S. In 1897 is when Theodor Herzl invited the world to the First World Zionist Congress in Switzerland, and we were the American delegation. Since then, some of our leadership have included former Supreme Court Justice Brandeis, a lot of other luminaries from the American Jewish community, and now our organization is headed by Mort Klein, who has run it for the last more than 25 years. And he's a well-known advocate for the American-Israel relationship. I'm the Director of Government Relations, and as such, I work with Congress, both houses, and the administration to foster a good relationship between the United States and Israel. But we're an American organization. We're a 501c3, nonprofit, nonpartisan, and we don't take positions on anything except issues relating to foreign policy involving Israel and anti-Semitism. I think that's a good summary of the ZOA.
Okay, people can find out more information about ZOA at your website.
ZOA.org. It's there, and you'll find almost every day or two, we have a press release on an issue of the day. We've recently, for example, endorsed President Trump's actions in Venezuela, which are impacting on our issues because few people know that Venezuela has become infested with Hezbollah operatives during the time of their current government. So the United States was more than justified in making that attack and removing the leader of Venezuela. So that's an example, but we have something also. We're strongly supporting the people in Iran who are uprising against their government, and we have information about that nearly every day on our website.
Okay, how did you become involved with ZOA? What led up to that?
I was a layperson. I was working as an IT executive for Bank of America, actually, and I came to Washington in order to lobby my members of Congress as just a regular member of ZOA. And I happened to be in a meeting with, this is 18 years ago, more, with then Senator Biden, because I worked in Delaware, and he was the senator from Delaware, and he was the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee at the time. And we were fighting at that time against the proposal for Israel to leave Gaza. At that time, there were Jewish communities in Gaza, and the leadership of Israel and the United States had decided that Gaza should be evacuated from all Jewish people. And we were disagreeing with that. And that's how my first lobbying effort was done. And following the lobbying meeting, I was asked, after the national president, Mort Klein, saw that I knew a little bit about what was going on, he invited me to work for him. And I said, no, I had a real job that was not a nonprofit job and paid me exceedingly well. So it took him a while to convince me to come and make my hobby, support of Israel, be identical with my job, which is what it has become. So now I guess it's not, you don't have to work a day in your life if you do what you love. And that's the situation for me. I do things that I used to do in my free time, I now do professionally and have for the past 18 years.
And there are many other people that are involved with the ZOA that have volunteered.
Well, we have volunteers all over the country. We have particularly strong chapters in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Florida, the greater Miami area, and New York City. But there are Jewish people all over the country, and of course, we can't forget our Christian Zionist friends. I told you when we met previously, Dr. Harper, that the United States support for Israel and President Trump's support for Israel wouldn't be anything like it is if it weren't for Christian supporters of Israel. And we have dedicated volunteers all over the country who support our work, contact their members of Congress, and participate in, we have 3 divisions, our campus work, the government relations work that I'm in charge of, and we have a Center for Law and Justice, which mainly works on issues relating to anti-Semitism.
And what are the challenges for ZOA that you see, and some things, the important things that you are working on or hope to accomplish?
Well, my work is with Congress, the House of Representatives and the senators. I mainly establish relationships with the members of Congress and their staffs. Most of my meetings, like today, I had a meeting with a Senate staffer, and we talked about the current events that are going on and legislation we're working on and what's coming up. But our biggest challenge is that on both the left and the right, in the last 2 years, since the atrocities of October 7th, there have been increasing anti-Semitism that has come to the fore. For some reason, for years after World War II, there were probably a lot of anti-Semites in the country, but they were shy about it. And in the last 2 years, they've become very much more outspoken and more open in their desire to do harm to the Jewish people and to Israel. And so we've seen this on both the right and the left. We've been fighting it on the left for some time. The entire woke things, everyone knows about Ilhan Omar and her anti-Semitism in Congress, for example. But lately, it's become more of a problem on the right. And we, ZOA, have been on the forefront of fighting anti-Semitism wherever it comes from. Some of the anti-Semitism on the right, unfortunately, has been expressed by people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owen. And that's our biggest challenge right now, getting people to be aware of what's happening and the lies that are being told. We were very involved, if people were following what was going on with the Heritage Foundation, when the national president of the Heritage Foundation failed to condemn some serious anti-Semites. And we have been outspoken about asking them to step up and be as opposed to anti-Semitism as we are. One of the side effects of this battle has been that horrible insults were hurled at Christian Zionists and even at Christian theology, that where people found, Tucker Carlson said that more than anyone else, he hates Christian Zionists and he finds their theology to be like a brain virus. But if you look at American history, George Washington espoused some of these Christian Zionist principles. John Adams, you can go through all of our founding fathers. They were nearly all Christian Zionists. Of course, they were nearly all Christians, which many times people on the left are trying to mislead people about that. Our separation of church and state was originally meant to be about Christian denominations, not about non-Christian separation. So our heritage is very much the Judeo-Christian heritage of the Bible. And our challenge recently has been that some small segments have been very loud on the right and are trying to take over, for example, the MAGA movement and other parts. And it's not really a true expression of the majority of Christians in this country, but they're very loud, and they have been espousing lies that somehow Charlie Kirk was killed by Zionists, which is absurd. He was a very pro-Zionist man. Lies that we, the Jewish people, have a disproportionate influence in the United States. We consider we're used to these lies coming from the left, and now we're finding them on the right. There's a horseshoe on the political spectrum, unfortunately, where the extremely far right and the extremely far left are coming together with a common idea of Jew hatred. And that's a very depressing fact. But we're fighting it as hard as we have always fought the anti-Semitism on the left, and in fact, the anti-Americanism on the left. What's really interesting is that the same people who are anti-Semitic are also anti-American on both the far right and the far left. I'm happy to talk about that more, but it's an interesting fact, and that's our biggest challenge right now, getting people to fight it. We have some real champions in the Congress who are on our side, on the Democratic and Republican side. But we have to deal with the reality that there are some people who, despite their claims, for example, of being devout Christians, are espousing anti-Semitism. And it's a very unchristian thing to believe, as I understand.
It is disturbing and a lot like hypocrisy. For more information, there's a lot more information you have on your website. Would like to do a follow-up interview and people get to know more, but ZOA.org.
That's correct.
And thank you, Dan, for joining us and sharing history about ZOA and the many challenges that you have to deal with and need to be addressed. Thinking about, I think, especially what you said about the hypocrites on the so-called right of the Christian group, calling out them for hypocrisy. But there are so many challenges, as you highlighted, and I look forward to talking with you again.
Well, I hope you and I have become friends over this interaction, not just today. We also met the other day. And I look forward to working with you and other Christian Zionists for as long as I'm here in Washington. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.